Hello everyone, how are you doing? So, I am Felipe. This is a video with the only intent of getting in the job of the channel that I really admire and watch every single day, that is Sexto Round here in Brazil. It's not, as some people have mentioned it before, Sexto Round in English. It's in Portuguese, so it's sixth round. Okay, so let's get it on. So, by the sunset, we are today talking about a debate that some people have outside of the MMA community. Is watching or participating in mixed martial arts ethically wrong? Is it a sin for Christians, or is it good? Maybe neutral? That's what I would like to talk about a little bit today, because as far as I know, I would like to present you guys my opinion based on Christian theology and a little bit of philosophy with that worldview. So, this is actually a video that was inspired by a minister, a Catholic father in the United States that I really admire him. I'm gonna put the link of his video below here in the description. And it's not necessarily a response, but he states that everything that has to do with watching violence is actually wrong. And my point, straight to the point, is violence is not inherently wrong. It's not also inherently good. It's neutral. It's more like something that you can manage. For example, in Christianity, our God is a violent God, and that is good, because God uses violence for good, and that is not only good, but that is praisable. That is something that we praise Him, we love Him for it, we adore Him for one of those attributes, divine attributes that He has. So violence is not inherently wrong in Christianity. Actually, it could be either wrong or it could be good, depending on what the use we are talking about. Well, when we are talking about MMA and specifically UFC, the biggest organization of them all in the sports, we are talking about mixed martial arts, an organized institution, an official sport that the world embraces and simply keeps on going the tradition of having martial arts for discipline, having having martial arts for self-defense, and now instead of simply keeping each martial art apart from each other, when we get MMA, we mix all of them. And the first goal with the first event of the UFC, when the Gracie family was just ruling and Royce Gracie demonstrated to the world that BJJ is just far superior than we ever thought. Well, the first goal was simply to see which martial art was better. But then, in the 7th edition of the Ultimate Fighter Championship, a Brazilian guy named Marco Ruas was the first, as we know, MMA fighter. The man that knew how to fighting standing up in the striking, and also knew how to make that guy go to the ground, to take down the guy, to submit the opponent, and there goes the fight. So what about it? Well, if we are talking about violence to innocent people, then yes, I would say it is wrong. However, since we are talking about fighters, professional fighters that are doing it for the sake of the art, for the sake of the better improvement of the sport, and with a good sportsmanship, with the sake of the rules, of obeying the rules. I'm gonna show right here. You are seeing probably some of the rules that MMA, not only UFC but also other organizations, have signed to agree that when we go far beyond those rules, it stops being humane, it stops being a sport, and it just becomes a coliseum. Uh, we remember the movies about the gladiators, and we see those slaves that had to fight for their lives. And MMA is not that. We don't see uh, degradation of human dignity. On the other hand, we see the human dignity going to the top, because as every other sport that has the elite level, everyone that want to achieve that level must, give up many worldly things. And actually, to Christians, that's a lot of inspiration, just like the shirt, Rocky Balboa. When we look when we look at the pro boxer Rocky Balboa, he gives up a lot of things of the human world, the worldly life, to, train and focus on that main mission of his. And that's also our main mission, about looking at the straight point, looking at the end of our path as men of faith, as men of followers of Jesus Christ. Well, basically, that's my opinion. I would like to recall when Paul, the Saint Paul, Apostle Paul, he writes to his son in faith, Timothy, and he compares the Christian life to those of an athlete. And at the times, we know what we know today as wrestling, what we know today as pankration. I think that's the name in Greek. Well, it was a thing back then. It was a thing because the Olympics was already initiated by the Greeks, and Paul had in mind what the athletes did in those Olympics, what the athletes fought for in those Olympics. And yet he did not condemn the sport itself. He actually took it as a good example of how a Christian should pursue his his desire to achieve the heavens. So that's what I would like to talk about. Well, you can see a little bit of my home. That's actually beautiful sunset, little bird coming over, and that's it. I appreciate if you have watched this. In Sexto Round, I see you there. I hope you call me. See ya.